Hey folks, how you doing? I'm back with the Super Nintendo today. So in the last video we cleaned up the case and we've got that all de-yellowed and looking a lot better. And in fact this is just the case. So what I want to look at today is the rest of it. So we've got the guts of the system, if you like. And I did say in the last video that I'd spotted something I didn't particularly like the look of. And I'll just show you what I mean by that. So let me just get this heatsink off very quickly. Right, let's see if I can point this out to you. So we've got a couple of surface mount capacitors there, and it's the one here, this one at the back. Let's see if I can get a good angle on it. But if you look at it, it's slightly racked over to the side, which the plastic base of it is flush to the PCB, but the actual aluminium can, now that's leaning over slightly, and it could be that capacitor's starting to fail and it might be starting to bulge. It could just be the way it was manufactured and there's nothing wrong with it at all. I don't know, but I've spotted it now, so I'm going to change it, I think, and while I'm at it I'll change the rest as well. So I've got some replacement caps. I'm not going to replace them with surface mount caps. I'm going to use standard through holes and just mount it to the top of the PCB, purely because I have the through holes and it means I don't need to buy more parts, and there's plenty of room in the case as well. So yeah, so that's the plan. It's what I like to call preventative maintenance. It's this capacitor that's worrying me. It might be fine, it might be absolutely fine, but let's not chance it, shall we? Let's replace it, just in case it is in a state of failure. Let's see about lifting this first one. So I think a dab of flux would be a good idea. I'm using no clean, and I'm just going to try and lift it one side at a time. So let me just prep my tip, pardon the expression. Just a tiny bit of solder on the end of the tip just for connectivity, just to help the heat transfer, and let's just is that lifted? Not quite. Okay, let's do the other side. Okay, that came off fairly smoothly. There's no signs of any mess underneath it. The capacitor looks fine. I don't think that was leaking at all. It was probably okay, but it's off, so we'll change it. And I'm going to be controversial. I'm going to use a through-hole capacitor. It'll do the same job. It'll also make it slightly easier for the next person who recaps this as well in the future. There's plenty of room under this heatsink, so that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, so first one's in. Physically quite a bit bigger than the other capacitor, but it's rated for the same. In fact, I think this one's rated at a slightly higher voltage, which is fine with capacitors. You can always go higher with the voltage, you just can't go lower. So there we go. And that'll be nice and easy to change again in another 20 years as well. Like I said, there's plenty of room under this heatsink, so I'm really not too worried about it. Obviously, if I had more issues with room in the case and that sort of thing, I'd be using the surface mount, but that'll work just fine. I'll go and just buzz through the others, and we're done. So yeah, it doesn't look quite as neat as it would if I'd used the surface mount caps, but so what? It will work just as well. Well, at least I hope it does. The crooked capacitor wasn't showing any signs of leakage whatsoever, so we were fine. One of the others was. One of the surface mounts was a little bit crusty underneath, and the filter cap, that was a little bit crusty underneath. Nothing terrible. Little bit of IPA and it cleaned right up. It was absolutely fine. So yeah, we're done. And it should be nice and easy to change for the next person as well. So all the caps, yeah, they all came off in one piece. They were in much better condition than other surface mount caps that I've been used to in the past. Yeah, there was no issues there at all. It was just, I tried to film it, it was just way too fiddly because I really had to get in with some magnification because I'm getting older, so my eyesight's starting to fail. But yeah, all surface mounts apart from the filter cap and this, which is a bipolar capacitor. So I've replaced it with another bipolar capacitor, which is there. Yeah, So next I'm going to have a look at this voltage regulator. So it's got a 7805 and it's got a big whacking heatsink that sits over the whole thing, but I've got one of these and it's a switching regulator and it should be a drop-in replacement, and this is good for an amp, so it should be plenty. I can't see this pulling more than an amp, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to test that anyway. So I'm going to desolder it. I'm going to lift the emitter leg, and I'm just going to put an ammeter in line with that, and we're just going to power it up and we're just going to see what this does pull. I can't see it being more than an amp. I think that would be ridiculous, but just before I go to the trouble of fitting this, I just want to make sure. Right, so I've got the regulator hooked up to an ammeter. I've got Starwing installed, so let's just see what we get, if indeed anything. Oh, I had a loose connection, bear with me. Oh, there we go, so it's fired up, that's good. And what are we pulling? 410 milliamps. Ah, we're fine, we're fine. Yeah, not a problem. Right, I will fit that switching regulator. Okay, it's just ever so slightly stood off the board just to help the airflow around it, although it shouldn't get that hot in reality. So, yeah, that has now replaced all of this. Don't need the heatsink anymore. The console, it'll use a lot less power and it'll run a lot cooler, so it's got to be better for the longevity of it. Right, so what I want to do now is change the LED, because I still have like a bag of these colour change LEDs that I bought ages ago and I want to use them up. So what I'm going to do is swap that out, but I need to get this board off. So I think what I need to do is push back these little springy clips, and I'm going to need to desolder the pins for the socket as well, so I don't end up ripping those out when I take the board out. I think that's the best way to do it, so yeah, let's give that a go. Let's see if we can. Yeah. Let's get this LED out. The positive is on the outside. I've already checked that. Come on. Okay. Out you come. Well, I think I've finished having my evil, wicked way with this machine now, so I suppose the whole thing can just go back together. Let's do it. Try and remember where everything went. Now, I do remember I had a couple of these little doohickey things that went in there. And then did the whole board just go in? I think it did. Let's try it. I tell you what, better still, let's try it the right way round. It will probably fit better. Okay, cool. There was a plate that went there. Yep. Power switch. In fact, I'll put that in later. There's a screw that needs to go in first. There was a heatsink at the back here, but I've removed it, so we're good. Let's get some of some of the smaller screws in first, if I remember where they all went. Ta-da! And we're done, and it's back together, and it's all working just nicely. It's looking a lot better than it did when I first got it. That retro brighting's really helped. Cartridges, yeah, you know, I might come back and revisit those because they're still a bit discoloured on the front actually, but maybe I'll just live with it. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up now because I am entertaining myself. So yeah. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.